It's time to turn your life-challenging moments into life-changing messages. Welcome to the PowerLift Stories podcast, where we are interviewing women whose stories will leave you lifted up, fired up, and fueled up with hope, courage, and inspiration. We want to thank our sponsor, Powerful Journey, who helps women tell their stories, write their books, and building a profitable brand around both. Join the Masterclass or the Speakers Academy at phyllisjenkins.com. That is PHYLLISJENKINS.com. Now here's your host, Phyllis Jenkins.
When I think of my next guest, I think automatically perseverance, dedication, risk taker, and I am so excited to have my good friend today, Sarah Broz. And Sarah is joining us all the way from South Korea. So we had to maneuver our schedules because you are 15 hours, is it?
15 hours ahead. So thank you for working with me.
No, thank you. 15 hours ahead. And so it is Saturday evening here in the US, 6 o'clock. And in Korea, it is
9 a.m. Sunday morning.
How great is that? Thank you for getting up so early for me. And I just want to say that this truly is a special interview today because Sarah and I have known each other for 14 years now, and we work together, which we'll discuss that in a minute. But it's just such a blessing to see her. We haven't seen each other in a good little while, and to be able to come and to interview her. So let me just let our listeners know more about you, Sarah, and then we'll get started with our interview. Sarah Broz is an educator for 21 years in all facets of public and private education. She has been a general education teacher, a librarian, and that's where I know her from. We work together in the library. She has been a special education teacher, ESL teacher, and an assistant principal. So God has really opened the doors of education for Sarah Broz. She is currently working in an international school in South Korea. And how do you pronounce the city?
It's on the island of Jeju,
Oh.
and I'm actually in it's called the Global Education City. So it's an area where there are about right now 4 international schools, but there will eventually be more. But yes.
Wow, how great is that? So Jeju, I didn't want to mess that up. That's great. Well, when Sarah is not working, she can be found outdoors competing in obstacle courses, races, rock climbing, hiking, running, hunting, or just relaxing in nature. Again, to our PowerLift Stories podcast listeners, welcome Sarah Broz. Sarah, thank you again for being here today. And I just want to say that I've seen you in most of your educational facets of life here. And I just want everyone to know that Sarah is a hard worker, dedicated, committed, and her journey has just been one of sacrifice, one of just commitment to whatever God has put before you. And Sarah, you spoke on the Powerful Journey stage. It's been some years ago, but she was one of our speakers at our Powerful Journey Women's Conference. So we have been blessed to have a friendship, a fellowship, a sisterhood for many, many years. But as we get into our interview, Sarah, I would like for you before you share your story, if you were to give it a title, what would that title be and why?
Okay. If I was going to give a title to my story, it would be "Why Not Me?"
Wow.
um, and I say that because, and I have my little notes here
That's
because,
okay.
you know, life is it's a crazy ride, and we learn early on that it's not easy and it's not fair, and that's a difficult thing, to go through and to understand. But what I find though is, why not, why not let me be the one to try to overcome those things, that I think sometimes that I go through these things because I know that eventually I'm going to get over them,
Yes.
and whether that was a situation that I put myself into or was just kind of brought to me from an outside force, that why not? I'm going to overcome that. And so again, that's why, why not? Why not me? Why not? The good things and the bad things, but why not? Let it all just happen.
I absolutely love that. And I just want to say that the challenges, the victories that you have won have just been amazing. And so at that, would you please share your life-changing story?
Okay. A big part of my life-changing story, goes back to when you and I met all those, years ago. We were working together in Frisco ISD,
Yes.
and at the time, a big part of my story is that I was a person who didn't take care of my health, and there's different facets of that, emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, and I ate my emotions. And so I was becoming more and more unhealthy. So a big part of, my life story is that I got to the point where the doctors were telling me, if you don't begin to lose weight, if you don't take care of this, you're looking at, diabetes, you're looking at things down the road, health issues more than what you're having now. And so it was kind of an aha moment at that point, that I had to take control, that I realized too at that point, and I spoke about it too when I spoke in the conferences, that everyone else around you can love you and support you, but there comes a point when you're going to have to do the hard work. And so I realized that I was going to have to do the hard work to get my health back, and all facets of that. But first, starting off with the eating correctly. And when I say diet, I'm talking about eating correctly. So I had to get that diet back in order. That's a big part of my life, of my life story. My life challenge was gaining that part back of me. And as I slowly gained back my health, physically, it allowed me, I was more clear mentally and emotionally, and spiritually. All that became more clear and more beautiful and open. And I knew that I could do it. I knew that I could do it with God's help, and that, my friends and family would support me, but I was the one doing the hard work. And so that's, I think, a big part of my life story, and as life has evolved over the years, again, the why not me part of the life story is, when things have gotten difficult, I also, at the end of the day, I know that I've got God on my side, and that, I may feel like there's not a light at the end of the tunnel, but I know up here there is, and I'll get there. That I might have a little bit, and I think we've all been there, and it's okay to have a little bit of that pity party, to have a little bit of some downtime, but then to go, okay, what's that next step I need to do to get closer to the light, at the end of the tunnel? What do I need to do next? And to make those plans. And that's what I do with my health. Slow, easy steps. And I gained my health back. I lost a lot of weight. I ended up, becoming, running and enjoying running, and getting into obstacle course races, which is things I enjoy now, and the rock climbing, things I never did before. And so that is a big part of my life journey, began with, again, taking back my health, but all parts of my health.
I love that. I love that. So Sarah, what would you say to a woman right now who is truly struggling with her weight, her health, what would you say to her?
Um, what I would say to her is don't beat yourself. What's done is done. Don't beat yourself up over what you ate yesterday, what you maybe ate this morning before the moment you're talking to yourself in your head. But you've got to stop the negative self-talk. And like I said, even though I know I said previously, we kind of all have those pity parties, you can have a little bit of that, but you've got to put that positive self-talk in. So, what I would tell somebody, when they're struggling with their weight is one of the first things I did, and kind of what I learned from you is I got a vision board going, put
Yay!
positive, put those positive thoughts on, either on your mirror in the bathroom, if you're going to see them every day, or on a piece of paper, wherever it is that you're going to see them, about making good food choices, about that you're worth it, that your health and that you were worth it, and take it just like any struggles that people have. It's one day at a time, or make it that one meal at a time. Let me get through lunch today. Let me make good choices at lunch, and then I'll worry about dinner down the road. But just focus on the right now. What can you control right now? But those are some, tips that I would give to somebody. Don't worry about what's already happened. Focus on what is happening right now and what you can do in the future. But, a big part of this, make that vision board, make those goals of where you want to be, and take the small steps to get there. And you will get there. It didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to be fixed overnight. But
I love that.
6 months down the road, you're going to be a lot healthier than you were at this particular moment. So remember that.
That's great. And when you talk about the vision board, that's something that I have done for years and years. And what not a better time to do it than December 2020, getting ready to go into a new year soon. So thanks for bringing that up, the vision board. That's great. And so, Sarah, God does show himself mighty through our experiences. And so how has God shown himself through your life experiences?
Well, sometimes it's something as simple, him showing himself to me is, when it's been, honestly, I've had moments, and I'm sure many of us have, especially this last year, in some of those darkest moments, and those dark, the inner conflict, or things that are happening in your life. He's shown himself in something as simple as, I happen to walk outside and see a beautiful flower. It's something sometimes just as simple as that. Or, you get a text, honestly, you get a text from somebody you haven't talked from in a while. Or, he shows himself, God, and just, in just so many ways, like I'll all of a sudden get a thought in my head, or of a Bible verse, or, those kinds of things is how he shows himself to me. Because I'm a nature person, again, a lot of how he shows himself to me is, again, as I'm going for a walk. It's, it's seeing where I'm currently at, walking around and seeing the animals that just kind of roam free on certain parts of this island, things like that, or the flowers, or the wind blowing in my face, the beautiful sunset or sunrise. Like this morning when I went watching the sunrise, that's God, showing himself to me and letting me know, again, it's a new day, right? Like, so I'm blessed with today, and whatever I'm struggling with, it's going to be okay. He's going to be with me,
Yes.
And there are times where you feel like you don't have anybody else on your side, and I will get emotional, but he's there with you. So remember that, everybody. When things get difficult, he never lets you down. He is going to be always with you.
Amen. And I love when you talked about going for a walk, and you're on an island now in Korea. And Sarah, you are a go after your dreams girl. So I just want you to share, how did you end up teaching in Korea?
Well, over the years, over my teaching career, I've said, I want to teach overseas. I want to go international. And the time was just not right. Everything's in timing. And, throughout the years, I was either, married or in relationships, honestly, and it just didn't work out. And as this year proceeded, I had the opportunity. It presented itself that I thought, okay, it's kind of a now or never. I think maybe too, a little bit of, COVID got in there in the spring when I started thinking about things. And, I had some big life changes this year besides COVID happening. And I thought, I'm just going to, again, jump off the deep end, give it a try. If it doesn't work out and it's a bust, I go back home. I do the years I've committed to, and then I go back home. But like I said, I've wanted to experience another part of the world. I've wanted to travel. I've wanted to, learn about different cultures. Of course, we're not really traveling right now because of COVID, but I've had the, great time of experiencing just this, South Korea, the country of South Korea. I don't get to travel anywhere else right now, but, I've been blessed to do that here. So that's what I did. I just thought, why not? Again, kind of like my story, why not me? Again, kind of the why not now? So if it doesn't work out, I go back home and chalk it up to experience. So
love that. Love that. And that's the Sarah that I know. You would always go for it. And so just tell us a little bit about your experience right now in Korea with teaching, and just talk about the island, share, the food experiences.
It is, I will say, it is beautiful here. It is, the island of Jeju is sort of known as the Hawaii of this area. It is a destination for a lot of families, and honestly, it's kind of known as the honeymoon destination too, for people from Korea and for a lot from people from other Asian countries. It's actually one of the busiest airports, which is very interesting. I didn't know that till I got out here. Flight-wise, of flights coming in and out on a constant basis. But again, climate-wise, right now we're in kind of similar to, Texas. We're in the, 40s and 50s right now. The wind is wild cold here. There's a saying, something like, I was learning about Jeju, that Jeju was known for the wind and women. And because I say women, it had to do with during one of the wars, two men were out at the sea. Men were, out at sea, but they were also out at war. So it was up to the women on the island to provide and to do things. And so that's kind of why it's known for its women here, which is kind of neat. And then like for horses. So there's beautiful, like wild horses, which is neat. You can go on these trails called Ole trails, and you walk through people's citrus orchards, which has been wonderful and beautiful. You walk up the coast and see, the beautiful ocean. And that's just been lovely to be able to do that. There's, definitely, there's even a mountain, the highest peak on the island actually has snow. So that's kind of neat. So at some point, I'll get to hike up there in the spring, maybe when it's a little warmer. Yeah. But I'm out at an international school here. There's an area where we have right now 4 international schools. They're hoping to have more in this little part of the island. I mean, there's also other cities on the island, but our little area. And my school in particular is, pre-K through 12. And I'm teaching in the 3rd grade. I'm what they call EAL teacher, which is English as an additional language. So it's similar to ESL back home in the United States. And so, but the children here have a wonderful grasp of the English language already. And so you're just working more with them, gaining better understanding of that, grammar and usage, and just using it on a regular basis. But I'm enjoying, and the food is amazing. I've tried so many things. When I first moved here, it's funny, I gained weight, thank goodness. Again, working with, having to watch what we do, I gained weight because I was eating things I'd never eaten before. And I was so excited and trying new foods. And now I've tapered it down, and back. But also everyone here, not everyone, but most people in Korea do a lot of healthy just walking. And that's why there's trails all over, the trails I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And so it's wonderful to see people of all ages. I mean, even well up, into their 80s and so going on these trails. Some are very difficult, some are very easy, but you'll see people hiking throughout the entire year. So that's been, wonderful to see people want to be healthy. But I'm enjoying the people I've met internationally and enjoying the local people of Korea. They've been very welcoming. It's been a very nice experience so far.
Love that. Thank you for sharing. As you were sharing it all, I was just picturing it as best I can. And that is absolutely wonderful. I'm sure our listeners are enjoying hearing about Juju as well. So, well, my final question for you today is, I actually want you to just imagine that you have just spoken in an arena full of women, just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women. As far as you could see, there were women. And once you finish sharing your life-changing message, you got a standing ovation. They stood and they clapped, and some cried and some laughed, and it was just a joyous time. But now they have turned and walked away to go to their homes, and the curtains have closed, and you're ready to walk away and go back to your home. What are 3 key points from your life story that you hope that every woman walked away with?
The 3 key points that I hope that every woman has walked away with is that, and I mentioned this earlier in our conversation, is that God is always with you. You are never alone. You are, and this next one is a few words, but you are strong, you are loved, and you matter.
Yes.
And that this world needs you in it. Those are probably the 3 things that I'd want women to get from my, my presentation, my talk. But the biggest one is that God is always with you. You're never alone.
Yes. Love that, Sarah. This has been absolutely a joy. I've been looking forward.
Thank you.
I have been looking forward to this all day long. And it's just, again, Sarah and I haven't seen each other in some years now, after working together for several years in the library. And I'm just grateful to God for the friendship and the sisterhood that He brought to us. And it was actually Sarah who helped me to get my job into Frisco ISD. Just an amazing story. God was totally in us, our journeys, our paths crossing, because I was in Louisiana, you remember, at the hospital with my aunt, who was in the hospital, and it was midnight. I had gone to sleep, and your mother-in-law at the time was a nurse there, and she walked in, and she and my aunt began to talk, and my aunt introduced me, and when she found out where I was from, then your mother-in-law said, "Oh, my daughter-in-law works, is in the area," and I gave her my name and number and told her to please give it to you and have you to reach out to me, which you did. And the rest is history, and such a beautiful story.
Well, it is. And again, I mean, it's where you go, God knew what He was doing,
Yes.
I mean, with all of the way that played out, He knew what He was doing by that interaction and then putting you in my life. I mean, you have blessed me. Your family has blessed me over the years. So I can't thank you enough too with that. But it's like, again, how do you find God in your life, or how do you see Him? It's those things like, oh, that's how He put, that's how Phyllis and I became friends. I'm like,
right.
That's a God thing.
Totally a God thing. Because I've often said that your mother-in-law, it was midnight. She put my number in her pocket. She could have forgotten about it. She could have washed her uniform without taking it out or any of that, but it was truly meant to be, and I'm so grateful to God for it. So
Same here.
Wonderful. Well, Sarah, I hate to end this interview, but it's been great. I know that our listeners have been blessed by your story. And my prayer is that the woman that's listening to us right now, no matter what you're struggling with, see what God has done in Sarah's life. And don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to go after the things that God has put down in your heart. Go for it and watch God work it out for your good and for his glory. So Sarah, thank you again. For our listeners, we are launching our water walking masterclass, and we are kicking it off December 20th. So look at the link below in this podcast and come on over to phyllisjenkins.com. That's PhyllisJenkins.com, and you'll find out more about the Water Walking Masterclass. We'd love to have you join us in the class. Sarah, love you much.
Love you too.
such a blessing. Let me tell you, Miss Isabel Sim will be watching this, so you want to give her a shout out?
Yes. Hey, Mrs. Sam, how are you? It's so good to, I'm saying hi from Korea.
Yes, she's going to love that. She's going to love it. Well, thank you again. Love you.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Absolutely. We will keep in touch.
Yes.
And to our radio listeners, our podcast listeners, have a wonderful, blessed day.
Thank you for joining us today. If you are interested in being on the show, go to phyllisjenkins.com. You can also sign up for the Powerful Journey Masterclass or the Speakers Academy at phyllisjenkins.com.